Thank you. The next item on our agenda this morning is the roll call.
Commissioner Breasted.
Here.
Commissioner Reinert.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Jepson. Here. Commissioner Meisner.
Here.
And we're all here today. Next item is consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending March 22nd, 2024. Is there an offer?
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schulte. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. This is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Breasted.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item number 5 is the approval of minutes from the March 26, 2024 County Board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Jepson, seconded by Commissioner Schulte. Any changes, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Moving down to chair's remarks, item number 6. We have a resolution this morning to consider a resolution 2024-40 proclaiming April 14th through the 20th of this year, National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Anoka County. In addition, it's also important to note that we're celebrating Anoka County Emergency Communications 50th anniversary this month. Commissioner Brasted, who serves as our Public Safety Committee Chair, will lead our conversation and introduce our special guests. Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm honored to be part of proclaiming April 14th to the 20th as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Our emergency telecommunicators perform an essential function in our society. They are the first and most critical contact citizens have with emergency services. Anoka County's 911 dispatchers fields more than 400,000 emergency and non-emergency calls a year, with 95% of those calls answered in less than 10 seconds. That's an astounding level of service, and we should commend all our telecommunicators for their dedication to their jobs and to our public. This year, I think especially there's a couple of reasons why this is even more exciting. And it's an honor for our 911 staff, and that is that Anoka County Emergency Communications is celebrating its 50th year. I can only imagine how things have changed in these 50 years. And then also, in the last 50 years, we've seen the growth not only in the number of calls, but the lack of space that we have in our operations area. So if you drive down Hanson, like I do almost every day, and you see the construction of where 911 dispatch and our radio shop will be located, I think it's perfect timing that we're in the midst of construction for a new center. But some things haven't changed, and that is the 911 dispatchers. They are the calm voice during the chaos. They are the first line of response when emergency strikes, and the lifeline that connects us to help when we need it most. Their unwavering commitment to public safety and the ability to stay calm under pressure is really nothing short of heroic. On behalf of our entire community, I want to thank each and every one of you for your service and dedication to Anoka County. Now let me introduce Assistant Director of Emergency Communications, Carrie Morrissey, to tell us more about the great work of our ECC staff. Thanks for being here, Carrie, and we have such a great turnout of dispatchers here this morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Day in and day out, our staff at Emergency Communications rises to the challenge. They answer the phone not knowing what they're going to get on that other end of the line. They answer the radio when it's keyed up, not knowing what they're going to hear. They're now getting video and photos, not knowing what they're going to see. The technology is advancing, and they're rising up to the challenges each and every day. Everything we throw at them, they take it and do it. We're really proud of them. They fill open shifts We have quite a few lately to answer those phone calls and answer that radio and be there for the community. They simply do what's expected to help keep Anoka County safe. While it can be a thankless job at times, it's a very rewarding job, and that's why we're all here. We talk about 50 years. We have someone right out there with 42 years with our communications center, and that's amazing to stick it out for that long. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our telecommunicators, our supervisors, our radio manager and our technicians, our system administrator, our office coordinator. We couldn't do what we do without each and every one of them doing what they do every day, and they're so appreciated. As a group, we'd like to thank Anoka County, the board, county attorney, for all the support we get each and every day. It helps us keep being proactive and innovative. We were 50 years ago when we consolidated, and I think we still are today, and I think that's what makes us one of the best 911 centers in the state. Everyone, we know they all understand their role in public safety, and that's why they show up every day, and we appreciate all of you allowing us to do it. I'm really proud to be a part of the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. During this special week, I hope you and your team take some time to reflect on the impact of your work, then the lives that you have touched. You are the unsung heroes who make the real difference in people's lives, and we are grateful for everything that you do. I'd like to move to offer the resolution 2024-40, proclaiming April 14th through the 20th as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. And then we're going to have a vote on that. But I'd also like to take this opportunity to promote an in-depth article that we're working on about 911 and the department's 50th anniversary that our communications team is working on right now. The article will be available in our digital newsletter, which will be out mid to late May. Watch for announcements on our website and social media challenges when the newsletter is available. As both Commissioner Brasted and Carrie mentioned, the work that you guys do every single day is vitally important, and you're the first voice that people hear in the middle of an emergency, where they're frightened, scared, whatever it might be. They have a possible death in the family, something like that, and you're the ones that they can talk to and get calmed down and find out that someone's coming to help, someone's coming to correct or help in the emergency that they're facing. So it's very much appreciated, all the work that you do. And before we even take this vote, which we're going to do, I'd like to give you guys an ovation. So thank you. And with this resolution, we have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted.
Aye.
And it passes unanimously. We don't usually do a roll call vote on that one, but I thought that was important for you guys. Moving on to our next item today, and also thank you for all of you showing up, and thank you for staying for the picture that we had this morning. We'll get that all out there, but thank you so much, and you guys don't need to stay any longer. The next item is a Mississippi River Cleanup Challenge. Although it's not on our official agenda, I'd like to take a few minutes to highlight a significant volunteer opportunity coming for a worthy cause. All are welcome and invited to assist Anoka County Park staff with the Mighty Mississippi River Cleanup Challenge. The event aims to improve the river's quality by removing refuge from its banks. 2 years ago, complaints from residents in Welsh, Minnesota inspired Goodhue County Commissioner Linda Flanders to come up with a cleanup challenge along the stretch of the Mississippi in her city. The Mississippi River is number 6 on the United States' most endangered rivers list, and this year's challenge runs from April 15th to May 15th and is open to all Minnesota counties, cities, and community members located on the Mississippi River or on a river that leads into the Mississippi. There are 3 local opportunities to volunteer with the Anoka County Park staff this spring. From noon to 2 p.m. on Monday, April 22nd, at the Coon Rapids Dam Regional Park, volunteers can meet at the Visitor Center. From 10 a.m. to noon on Wednesday, April 24th, at the Riverfront Regional Park in Fridley, volunteers should meet at the Rydell Farmhouse. And on Saturday, April 27th, from 9 to 11 a.m., we'll be meeting at the Mississippi West Regional Park in Ramsey, and the boat launch will be the area where everybody meets. Those interested in volunteering at one or more of these dates can go on the Parks website at anokacountyparks.com/volunteering or call 763-324-3413 to RSVP. Attendees are asked to wear closed-toe shoes and gloves. Otherwise, the Anoka County Parks will issue garbage and recycling bags to separate and recycle waste. Parks Department staff and equipment will be present to remove any large items and hazardous items. But it is a great opportunity, and I'm sure after the couple days of bad weather that we had, April is going to be a beautiful month of sunshiny afternoons, and it'll be perfect for picking up garbage. I'm hoping we have another successful cleanup this year, and want to extend my thanks to all in advance who will be volunteering and helping us out. The last nugget here is this is Severe Weather Awareness Week. I want to take a moment to remind everyone that this week that takes place on April 8th, from April 8th to the 12th. This is a great time to make and practice your emergency plan and build your restock your emergency preparation kits. There will be 2 tornado drills on Thursday, April 11th. The first will take place at 1:45 p.m. Second will take place at 6:45 p.m. The first drill is intended for institutions and businesses, and the second is intended for second shift workers and families. Ensure you have a plan whether you're at work, out and about, or at home. Minnesota experiences an average of 29 tornadoes per year. Understanding this threat and knowing what to do when a tornado approaches can save lives. Families, neighborhoods, and communities alike are all encouraged to create and update emergency plans to ensure proper preparedness in an emergency weather event. A good resource for information about severe weather is located on Minnesota Department of Public Safety's website and searching Severe Weather 2024. Thank you for listening, and I hope you guys can all be prepared for any kind of weird weather that we have this spring. I do see we have a couple guests I want to introduce, and I know one of them is going to be for the Parks Committee meeting, but Commissioner Dennis Berg is with us this morning, and it's been a while. Good to see you again, Dennis. And Mayor Sanders, Tim Sanders, is also here with us from Blaine, so good to see you. Thank you for coming. We'll move on to our committee reports. The first one today is the Management Committee, and it's a Vice Chair report from Commissioner Jepson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Management Committee met on March 26 at 8:30 in the conference room across the hall. There was no public comment provided at that time, but there were a couple issues that we worked through and some good conversations that we had. There were a number of staff who were approved to go on various training sessions and conferences, and so that was the first on the consent agenda that was discussed. And then moving into the action item, sorry, excuse me.
Excuse me, we'll need a vote on the
Need a vote for
consent.
that?
Yep.
And is that going to be a roll call vote? Do we need a motion on it?
Yes.
Okay. So we need a motion on the consent items.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brasted. Do I have a second? It's been seconded by Commissioner Reinert. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Item number 2A.
2A is, I recommend approving the personnel transactions. A being a new, from a .5 FT senior social worker to, sorry, a .5 FT senior social worker and a .5 FT new senior social worker, combining the two into a 1.0 FTE senior social worker, excuse me. So we're taking a current .5, creating a new .5, combining the two into a full-time employee. So I would recommend approval of that change in the Human Services, Community Social Services.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Schulte, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Meisner. Discussion. Hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. Item B.
Item B is a new position in Administration Emergency Communications for a 1.0 FTE Senior Radio Technician, contingent on the retirement of a Senior Radio Technician position effective August of 2024. I will move that new position.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jepson, seconded by Commissioner Brasted. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, that's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
And a couple informational items that we discussed, and I just wanted to highlight one of a very important one that was discussed, is that it's very impressive in my time here with Anoka County thus far, the amount of energy and focus that is given onto mental health awareness, and specifically supporting our staff with their mental health and the rigorous jobs that they do. We just heard from Commissioners Brosted and Chair Gamache about the stresses, the really difficult jobs that our dispatch 911 has, and for the county to take an initiative in focusing and supporting our staff and their mental health is critical. And so we discussed the first step in that awareness event that was had and required by a certain level of Anoka County staff, and highly, highly encouraged by another level of staff, and really looking forward to what's next and seeing what the outcomes of those events will be. So thank you, Mr. Chair. That ends my
Thank you,
report.
Commissioner. Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Commissioner Jepson, for doing that report. I was ill on March 26th. I did just want to make note that today, in today's Management Committee meeting, we did formally move the time from 8:30 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. So just for those in the public, that will be the new time beginning going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move down to 7B, which is the Transportation Committee Chair Report. Commissioner Jepson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Transportation Committee met on Tuesday, April 2nd at 1 p.m. at the Transportation Division facility. We did not have a quorum there, so I will be offering or recommending some items for approval. And also different, we have Jerry O.J. with us again today because his fearless leader, Joe McPherson, is actually wearing his different hat today and is downtown at the Capitol listening to some very important legislation that needs to be passed to support the upcoming projects, specifically Trunk Highway 65 and other projects throughout the county that could be impacted. So Jerry, thank you and welcome.
Thanks.
So the first item for action, I recommend approval to enter into contract C00-10610, joint powers agreement with the cities of Blaine and Coon Rapids, which includes a signal reconstruction and pedestrian ramp improvements at the intersection of University Avenue and 86th Lane Northeast in the cities of Blaine and Coon Rapids. Jerry, you want to introduce this item, explain this item?
Yep. Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Jerry O.J., Assistant County Engineer with Anoka County. This item here before you is a JPA between Anoka County and the city of Blaine and Coon Rapids for the signal replacement at 86th Avenue and CASA 3, which is University Avenue. It's over by the Northtown Mall. The county actually has two of those legs, and the city has 2 legs of that signal system. That signal system is at the end of its life. It's one of the oldest signal systems that we have and is in dire need of replacement. It kind of came from our maintenance staff that this one, we need to replace the signal system. So as part of this JPA, the JPA describes cost share and also maintenance responsibilities for that signal system. As part of that, the engineer's estimate for this signal replacement is just over $1 million as part of this project. So with that, we do have county state aid funds as part of this replacement, and then also some local funding as well from Coon Rapids and the city of Blaine. So I offer up this action item for consideration. Thanks.
Thank you, Jerry. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Jepson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schulte. Any questions, discussion? For those who are looking at this on TV, this is that small stretch of road that goes between, it's actually University Avenue, which I didn't really realize until I'm looking at this, out to Highway 47 and then also up to County Road 10 in that area right next to Northtown. If there's no questions, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
That's an anonymous vote. Item number 2.
Yes, I recommend award of contract C00-10700 in the amount of $3,644,577.29 to Park Construction Company for intersection improvements along Hodgson Road and in Anoka County and Ramsey County shared roads of County Road J and Ash Street in the cities of Lino Lakes and Shoreview. This is a bit of a shared county-to-county partnership. So Jerry, can you explain this one, please?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, this project it's been a project in process here. There's a development that went into Lino Lakes on the northwest quadrant, Ling Bloomston Development. As part of their development, there was some required improvements to Hodgson Road and County Road J intersection as part of their improvements. Through the past 2 to 3 years, we've been working with Ramsey County, Shoreview, Lino Lakes, and also Anoka County to come up with a larger scale project instead of doing like spot repairs or developer improvements to certain areas. We felt that this area really needed an overhaul. It was overdue. The signal system that was at the intersection of Hodgson and J was put in probably about 15 years ago, and it was, we utilized used parts. So between Anoka County, Ramsey County, we assembled a signal system to get a signal system there at that intersection. Prior to that, it was a 4-way stop. So it's a dire need in this area. We also submitted for federal funds on this project, and we were very successful in receiving about $3 million in federal funds. So not only is there some developer cost with this improvement project that is through a development agreement with the city of Lino Lakes, there is also federal funds that is applied to this project as well. So I would say from the local agency standpoint, the cost is very minimal for a big improvement at this intersection that's going to really improve this intersection and adjacent areas. We did receive 7 bids on this project, and very good bidding environment that we're in right now. The lowest bid was 3.6 million, up to the higher bid was 4.8. So our engineer's estimate was 4.6, so 4.6 million. So really good bids on this project, and again, leveraging federal funds to help us extend or use our money wisely and help us fund this type of project. So with that, if there's any questions, I offer this up.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move the board to award contract number C0010-700, a professional services contract in the amount of $3,644,577.29 to Park Construction Company.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Meidert, second by Commissioner Brassad. Any questions or comments, discussion? Commissioner Reiner.
I remember when it was a 2-way stop.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item number 3.
Yes, I recommend award of contract C0010-706 in the amount of $2,763,840. Good Lord. Okay, let's start over. These are a lot of numbers. $2,763,864.88 to North Pine Aggregate, Inc. for project SP0026222041, intersection improvements at Viking Boulevard and Rum River Boulevard, Northwest in the city of Oak Grove. Jerry.
Thank you, Commissioner. This project actually is project 3 in this area. So this is the third project that are awarding, or we've bid adjacent projects. So from the public's perspective, it's all gonna look like one project, but there's actually 3 separate projects. There's the resurfacing of CSAH 22, there's the intersection of CSAH 7 or Rum River Boulevard and Viking Boulevard or CSAH 22, and then there's also the Rum River Bridge replacement over the Rum River. So these projects have been all planned together to be bid. Due to the different funding sources that we have, we've bid these all separate. The contractors are going to be working together as we deliver this project to the public. We did receive, there's 8 bids on this project, which again it's the bidding environment that we're in. It's really good. We've got some really good bids. $2.7 million is the low bid. Engineer's estimate was just over $3 million. So again, it's a cost savings to the county for this project. We do have HSIP funds, so that's Highway Safety Improvement Funds for this project. It accounts for about 50% of this project. So that offsets the local share between the city of Oak Grove and also Anoka County. So I offer this one up for consideration.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's moved by Commissioner Brasted, and I will second this. Discussion. Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jerry, I know there's been a lot of communication from the city of Oak Grove, like in signage and some directional questions and concerns. Are you the point person that we should direct questions to, or you kind of have been so far and you've done a great job. Everyone's appreciating that. Do you plan that to continue?
Commissioner, very good question in regards to the project. With this project now moving to construction, our point person is going to be Chris Osterhus.
Okay.
He's our construction manager that oversees the construction projects. If there's something bigger or desire that Chris can't handle, he will reach out to the engineering staff to help us, and such as myself, to help out and communicate with the public. We are going to be updating our website. There is a detour that's in place right now for oversized vehicles. We do, and it's because of the bridge over the Rum River. It's oversized, meaning 40,000 ton or more has to go around the bridge, so there's a detour for that. And then also for oversized vehicles in width, anything that's over 10.5 feet is supposed to use the detour as well. So that's been up now for all winter. And I would say it's being utilized by the public and the users of the system. We're not aware of any issues out there, but again, in regards to any concerns or anything like that, please work with Chris, but also you can work with the other staff as well to address any issues for the public on this project. So we're here to serve.
Thank you. You do a good job.
Thank you, Jerry. Any other discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brasted.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item number 4.
Yes, I recommend approval to enter into contract C00107444, professional services contract with Sambatic, excuse the mispronunciation if that is, Incorporated for design, permitting, and environmental documentation services associated with a project of intersection improvements at Crosstown Boulevard Northwest and 161st Avenue Northwest, as well as Constance Boulevard Northwest in the city of Andover. Jerry.
Thank you, Commissioner. This project actually is a project that we received highway safety improvement funds for the intersection improvements at Constance and Crosstown. So this is a 4-way stop. It's a project that we've received quite a few complaints here recently in regards to this intersection. We solicited consultants to help develop this project and actually deliver the project. As you can see, we reached out to 6 consultants. Out of the 6 consultants, we received 4 proposals. 2 of them declined. And what we're starting to see is that due to the funding that's out there and the projects, some of the consultants are starting to fill up in their workload. So this might be more common as we continue on here in the near future. So, but we did get some really good bids or proposals from these consultants. We have Sambatech Inc. is the low bid. We haven't used them in the past, but I would say that there's a lot of same players that we see in the industry that have moved companies, I would say, in the last 4 or 5 years. So we're very familiar with the group and the quality work that these people have done in the past. So we're recommending to move forward with a contract for final design services with Sambatech.
And I will move this. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Brasted. So on that regard, Jerry, seeing a new, not a new company, but one we've never used before. I'm assuming Sambatech has been around, but we've just never had the opportunity.
Correct.
Okay. And what you're saying is that some of the players that may have been working for WSB or Bolton Mank are now moving around, and some of them are in that company.
That's correct, Commissioner. It's a small network of engineers that seem to, everybody starts to kind of move around. And again, the engineering field, civil engineering field, is a very small field and a very network-oriented group. So when we did meet with this group, just as a meet and greet, and all of a sudden, a lot of familiar faces that were around the table, and it's like, oh, everybody's kind of moved around. So, so yes, it's very comforting to see this group, and actually it opens the door too for other opportunities for this company as well, and other companies.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Schulte.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Jerry, I see that KLJ Engineering, who declined to bid, is actually partnering with Sambatech in some of this process. Have we worked with them before?
Commissioner, we have not worked with KLJ either. I would say they're very heavy in North Dakota area, and they've expanded their company out into the Minnesota market. And again, it's good to see these groups expanding out to Anoka County to do work. So I think this is another great opportunity to improve our networking with these other consultants. And, you know, we're going to see success with these consultants as well, because they've done other high quality work with other agencies, other counties, other cities. So we expect these companies to do a really good job for Anoka County.
Commissioner Schulte.
Mr. Chair, and as a follow-up, when I ask these questions, there was a time I never heard of Bolton and Mank. There was a time I never heard of most of the consultants we use. And so I'm not disparaging any of these new names. I just am curious and excited to watch them and see how they perform. And hopefully years from now, we'll be able to say how successful they were and are. Thank you.
Yeah, and kind of following on that, because of the fact that you mentioned that was the funding, and some of these are dropping out because they're overbooked perhaps in some of these cases because of some of the money that's coming from the federal government and the state government to increase the amount of transportation projects that we're seeing, they are getting overwhelmed. So having new companies coming in from other areas, they're seeing the ability to expand into Minnesota from, say North Dakota, picking up probably some internal engineers that are working for other companies and then offering another opportunity. So, Commissioner Jepson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. One thing that I did want to mention that you touched on very specifically is the trend of moving towards these civil engineers being fewer and fewer, and, you know, us relying on these organizations a lot more and more because we just don't have the capacity in your department to do all of the projects that we're getting funding for. And I think we're not unique in that situation, and so that's why me and a commissioner from Hennepin County drew up some draft language that AMC adopted as a priority to work with the state in allowing us some opportunities for funding to get those projects in the planning, design, engineering phase, so that we can tap into those dollars so that we can keep our roads and our bridges and our community safe. So thank you for working towards the proactive side of that than the reactive.
Thank you. And we didn't mention really that's necessarily what the project is, and for those that live around there, it is going to be a roundabout.
You did, Commissioner, you're correct. I forgot to say that. It is an intersection improvement. It is proposed to be a roundabout at that intersection.
And I know that this has been an area, I've visited some of the homes along the east side of Crosstown Boulevard going north from Constance that have had some issues with the, some of it traffic volume, but more of it traffic speed. And I know the sheriff's office has been monitoring that area, setting up the cameras and the boxes to show the speeds and everything, so they're kind of watching that and trying to help that as best we can in those situations. But obviously, the roundabout on this intersection will slow traffic a certain distance back from the roundabout as people are coming in from the stop sign, and hopefully we'll take care of some of the issues that those residents are seeing. But the idea, I think, was this would probably, we're just going with the engineering plan here, and the design plan, so we've got about a next year construction possibly, I think, on the list. Is that kind of what we're looking at?
Commissioner, I believe 2026 is
2026.
when this intersection would be constructed. So we've got about a year and a half.
Okay.
For design work
Excellent.
and public engagement.
Thank you. This has been moved and been seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I recommend approval to enter into contract C0010751, a professional services contract with SRF Consulting for design, permitting, and environmental documentation services for the bridge replacement at Rum River Boulevard at Sealy Brook in the city of Oak Grove. Jerry.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is one of our few wood timber bridges that we have in our county. Some of these wood bridges were put in an era where a lot of wood bridges went in at that time. They're at the end of their life. So the wood is starting to rot and decay. So we do annual or biannual inspections of these bridges. And we've been kind of watching the trend of the deterioration of these bridges. The bridge is safe to drive over, but we're trying to be proactive and replace this bridge. So the rating on it out of 100 is at a 66. And we felt that this is a good time to replace this wood structure with a box culvert concrete structure. So in order to do that, we do need to hire a consultant team to help us with the structural analysis for this bridge, and then also any wetland delineations and determination of right-of-way that we need. Again, it goes back to the comment that Commissioner Jepson had said, that our staff is limited on what we can do, and this is a need that we need to have a structural engineer come in and help us with this type of project. So we're recommending to go with SRF on this project to help us with the design of this culvert and work with the city of Oak Grove for this project. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
Been moved by Commissioner Schulte. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brasted. Discussion, questions? Hearing and seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I recommend approval to enter into contract C0010752, a professional services contract with Short Elliott Hendrickson, Inc., for design, permitting, and environmental documentation services for intersection improvements at Centerville Road and Ash Street in the city of Lino Lakes. Jerry.
Commissioner, in regards to this item, this contract is, we're recommending to enter in with SEH. This project actually was pulled off of the overall 35E County Road J interchange project. And solely due to the funding sources that we have on this intersection. We did originally, this intersection of Ash Street and Centerville was part of the interchange. We were anticipating of receiving some federal funds on this intersection. Unfortunately, we were not able to secure federal funds, whether it's Highway Safety Improvement Project funds or regional solicitation funds. So with that, we felt that we should pull this intersection off and deliver it separately. Due to the complexity of the intersection, the curve to the north is a safety issue. It's kind of a tight curve, it's kind of a blind curve. So we thought we need to pull this off and let the interchange project kind of run through the federal process. And as part of this intersection, we can run it through our regular state aid process. So therefore, we went out for solicitation for consultants, and we received a quote from, or proposal from SEH, who ironically is working on the interchange at 35 and County Road J. So this will be separated out, but again, we can go through the state aid process versus the federal aid process for this project.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move the board to enter into contract number C0010752, a professional services contract with Short Elliott Hendrickson, otherwise known as SEH.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Reinert, second by Commissioner Jepson. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye. And that passes unanimously.
Yeah, and there are a couple of informational items that we discussed at the Transportation Committee meeting, but there is one piece of information that I would like just to bring to everybody's attention, and that is minor, quote-unquote, minor traffic construction along Trunk Highway 65 that's going to get started, that has gotten started officially as of Monday evening. So lane closures, lane reductions for resurfacing, some repairs, and there's a lot of opinions going on about the need for those projects, the viability of those projects, the cost of those projects, considering a large portion of that road is going to be redone in the next few years. So just reach out to your county commissioner, reach out to me, reach out to MnDOT, reach out to the city regarding any updates or information about those road closures. But it sounds like most of the work will be done during the middle of the night, correct, Jerry?
Commissioner, you put me on the spot.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with, because this is a MnDOT project for resurfacing. It's more of a rehabilitation to extend the life of the pavement. You could be correct, the work is going to be at night. I'm not familiar with their schedule regarding the project, so I'm sorry.
No, the first section between 85th Avenue and 105th Avenue will be done over the next 2 days from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I would like to believe that MnDOT will keep closures to a minimum. Thank you. And that's all I have for my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Jepson. And we'll move down to the Parks Committee report. Commissioner Reinert.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. My committee met on April 2nd. Last week, although the report does say March 5th, so we might want to make a correction on that. And we met at the Wildlife Science Center in Linwood, which was pretty interesting. Actually, the group stayed for like an extra hour or more. Wildlife Science Center in Linwood, they have 81 wolves and some black bear and cougars, and this is all for scientific purposes of studying these animals, and it was quite interesting. And when Peggy, the person that runs that facility, did her wolf call, sent hair up, standing up on the back of my neck, but especially when you have 81 wolves, all 360 degrees around you responding. And so that was quite interesting. All were present and accounted for, and there was no public comment. And we do have a couple of items before you this morning. The first item is the committee recommends the board award a contract for the Coon Rapids Dam Regional Park Bridge and Trail project at Sunram Construction. Couple items on this. This is for $1,782,789. This is the bridge that goes over Coon Creek. It's been a disruption in that trail segment for a while now. The banks were just giving out, so it was kind of something that came upon us, and so we had to deal with. Unfortunately, there's a 12 to 16 week lead time on getting the bridge and culverts materials, and so the trail will not open, soon this summer, but we hope to get the entire project done by the end of 2024.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Meisner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion. I know it's been down now since, what was the date, Jeff? The bridge.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jeff Perry, Park Director for Anoka County, and believe it or not, it's been 2.5 years. So November of 2021, we had a very serious storm event, as you can see in the image there. Blew out the bridge abutments, and unfortunately, we were forced to close the trail. Very heavily used trail, over 1 million visitors to Coon Rapids Dam Regional Park and the Mississippi River Regional Trail. So just asking the public for a little more patience through the rest of this year, and it'll be reopened in the spring of 2025.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, that they've been very patient. They found our detour trail to get around it. I appreciate that they've been able to do that, and this will be a nice addition again to the trail system, because as you can see from there, it looks out towards the Mississippi, so it's obviously a beautiful view from that bridge. So we'll get that back up and running again soon. We had a motion that has been seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item number 2.
Yeah, item number 2, I have personal interest in really a neat project that was developed. It was citizen-driven. This has been going on, I think, for over 2 years now. And Commissioner Dennis Berg, who used to serve on this board, is with us today and headed this up with another group of citizens. And what I'm asking today is the committee recommend the county board to approve and authorize Resolution 2024 PRK06, and this is allowing installation and dedication of the Cedar Creek Conservation Area Remember Them Memorial. And I would also like to share a little bit of background on this, because it is kind of a touching story. I mean, we had two residents, young men from that area, and they were lost in Vietnam. And I'll just read what we have here as a background. A small group of local citizens presented an idea to honor 2 local veterans that sacrificed their lives in helping others during the Vietnam War. The Remember Them Committee formed to pursue a commemorative memorial for local veterans and public service members that lost their lives in the line of duty. The committee and park staff selected a location within the Cedar Creek Conservation Area for a memorial that is easily accessible from the existing parking lot. Park staff worked to develop a design, and with input from the committee, a design was agreed upon. The committee has been fundraising for the cost of the memorial and hopes to have an opening ceremony at the end of June. Make sure we all know when that is. Construction, operation, and maintenance of the memorial will be managed by the county. Additional memorial stones will be approved by the county before placement. And I don't know if we want to, is there a video that we can watch today for this? Okay, yes, I'd love to see it.
Okay.
And then Dennis, if you want to come up too and say a couple of words.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I can advance this slide and show you a 6-minute video that tells a little bit more about this story. So I'll give it a shot here.
Leslie Cowden. He was a medic. He was stationed in Germany. He knew there was a shortage of medics in Vietnam, so he volunteered for Vietnam. So to start with, he wasn't even ordered to Vietnam. Shortly before he was killed, he rescued some soldiers from a burning tank. One of them wrote the story and credited his life with him, and definitely did save his life. But in the process of getting him out of the tank, he got severely burnt. So he was in the evac hospital at Cu Chi, still in, medical. And this operation came up, and his unit did not have a medic available to go. He knew there was gonna need to be a medic on that. So he literally checked himself out of the evac hospital to go on this mission. And in fact, the way they identified his body was from the burn bandages that he still had on his body. It's a sacrifice all the way around. Peter Hedlund, he was a Marine. He was actually a cook in an outpost base camp up by the DMZ. It was a small camp. They were under siege quite often. They were in an area where the enemy were prevalent. And they needed supplies. There was a supply convoy going back to the main base camp. And the driver that was gonna go to, and actually it was more of a dump truck that they were using to get food, took ill, and the convoy was leaving. And he knew that if he didn't get there and back, there wouldn't be food for the troops. So Peter, he was an NCO, he was a sergeant. They normally aren't the ones that are gonna be driving. He jumped in the truck and caught up to the convoy. The convoy got ambushed and there were a few survivors. And Peter was one of those that was killed in that convoy. But there too, that wasn't his assigned job. He could have, delegated to somebody else, but he did it himself in lieu of delegating it.
We're hoping that by the time we're done, that everybody in Anoka County knows who Leslie Cowden and Peter Hedlund, who they were, and just what they did.
The project really started out to recognize, two of our local heroes. But beauty of the project and a result of a number of meetings and the synergy of a lot of groups coming together, it's much more than just these two in the end. Primarily, it's going to be Leslie and Peter. But Main Monument is designed so that as time goes on, people that have made the ultimate sacrifice to country and community can have their names added on separate monuments. And it's designed to accommodate, additional names.
There's 550 acres of conservation area that Anoka County purchased years ago. It's a big open wide area, so we stopped over there and took a look at it. And we said, why not? This is a nice spot right here, and it's just a couple of miles from where these two individuals grew up. These are neighbors. They live probably 150 yards apart, these two soldiers. So we said, yeah, why not the conservation area? Denny and I and Brad had an idea about the stone and about the soldiers here and the concrete and the benches, and it just kind of developed from there. And then working with the design people, what else can we do? And the archway is an idea we're working on, depending upon funding, of course. And so all this is coming together because we sit down and have a meeting every couple of weeks and then talking with the Anoka County people, what can we do? And this is all coming together for us now.
I love the new design, the design that we're going with. It's been an easy process. The folks at the county the planning people up there have just been terrific. Doing the mock-ups, doing everything to give our vision an actual vision.
But we've had donations all the way from $25 up to, yeah, we'll give you $5,000. So we're just waiting for everything to come in. So everyone who wants to make a donation, any donation helps us out.
To the past is important for people. And, to me, especially in the case of the two individuals to start with, they're heroes. This is a hero that the students and the community and everybody involved know we're not going to be disappointed. They've given all. They gave their life. I was a convoy driver in Vietnam. Peter Hedlund was killed on a convoy. I had an individual sacrifice his life to save mine. And I didn't even know his name. I spent years just to find out who it was, made contact with his family, went to his hometown, the American Legion worked with me, and we had a citywide recognition of just what he'd done. I told the story, told his story. And I just knew in my heart that Peter had a similar story, and I knew for sure that Leslie had a similar story, and that their stories need to be told. But it's got to start somewhere with the public actually realizing that there's more to this than just a name.
Very nice. And Dennis, before we make this, this resolution and put it in place, you want to come up and say a couple of words about, actually, it was about 2.5 years plus, wasn't it, to put this together?
Well, I want to thank you for, for this opportunity, Mr. Chair, members of the board. And on behalf of the Remember Them Committee, we really want to express our thanks to the support that we've received from the county board and all our other public partners. The Parks Department, like the video said, have been just terrific. But within the county family, it's not only the parks, it's been the county sheriff will be there on our dedication day, the highway department with signage. Risk management worked with us and through some of the problems, so it's been a process. But we have so many public partners that make us feel really good about this. The City of Oak Grove, the Anoka County Historical Society, the Community College, St. Francis School Board and School District have been fantastic. In fact, it's really percolated up from the students at the high school, which for me, remembering what it was like 50 years ago, has been just a real joy and really, frankly, a healing process for a lot of us that are in that Vietnam vet there. The Anoka County Vietnam vets have been a big partner. And I couldn't begin to list all the businesses and private donations and just the words of gratitude out on the public. So it's kind of time, more than anything, just to express our appreciation. I think the video spoke well for itself. I think this is something that we all feel like it's, really a fun project to be part of. I want to just share one real quick story because for me, as a Vietnam vet, and I remembered what it was like 50 years ago and the stigma. But we did a fundraising at the St. Francis High School at the football game last fall. We passed out over 300 brochures to the parents as they were entering. And at halftime, we had what we call Pass the Boot. It was, just taking donations, and they announced what the project was about. And the public was very generous. But it never occurred to us on the committee, the student section, which a bunch of the students were sitting by themselves at the far end of the bleachers, to pass the boot amongst the student population. As we were getting ready to exit, a bunch of the students came over, a group of about a half a dozen, and started grabbing the boots out of our hands. And right now, I'm back in 50 years ago. I'm stuffing the money down into the toes and staying close to the boots, figuring, what's up. They went back to the student section and positioned themselves, and students came out of the bleachers, putting money in the boots. For someone with my background, I went back to my car and I actually cried because it's sometimes overwhelming how the public attitude has changed. And this is really the time for some of the Vietnam vets to have their day in the sun and be recognized in a permanent way. And that's really what it's about, to remember them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Now, is this located in District 1? Is that right?
It's like on the board.
It would be.
Okay, well, I'd like the commissioner that represents that area to make the resolution, but since we don't have someone,
No, it is.
No, it is fine.
Yep.
oh, it is yours, then I'd like for you
Yep,
to make the resolution, the
I would-
motion.
I would be honored to make this resolution, and Dennis, thank you for your hard work on this. I myself have a few family members that served in Vietnam, and it was not easy. And some of those memories and thoughts and process never goes away. But I really appreciate that we can take the time and work with the community, especially being citizen-driven. It's really been an honor to see how this project has progressed. So thank you for your dedication and commitment to this.
Thank you.
Any other comments? We have a resolution.
Resolution?
Yeah,
I
she did.
offered
Yeah,
the
you
res-
offered
I
it, you
did.
offered it, yeah.
I said that.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
you did.
okay, all right.
Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I won't belabor the other comments, but just congratulations, Denny. I know that you weren't the only one that did this, but you were really a leader, and this is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah, thank you, Dan. I remember he came to, I think we were out at Chamonix when he came with the plan, and it just seemed so perfect. And the selection of the site and everything, we went out there a few days later, or maybe weeks later, to take a look and see exactly where to do it. And having it near the parking lot is a good spot, because for those coming in wheelchairs, you know, have to be able to get there and everything, you don't want to send them off into a hilly area or anything, so we have it nice and close, and it'll be seen by many and appreciated by all. But thank you so much for all the work that you've done. Your group has done a great job of not only coming up with the plan, designing the plan, seeking out help, and the fundraising has gone very, very well from what I've seen. So congratulations, and we're looking forward to June, right? Yes. And with that, this,
A vote. We
just a vote, that's right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, just like to thank Leslie and Peter and Dennis for their service. Now, that concludes the action items for the park report today, but there are a couple of informational items I'd like to highlight. Centerpoint has come to us, and they want to cross with their utility. There's a utility that currently crosses by Durham Island, by Islands of Peace Park, from 252 over to East River Road, just north of 694. And now, I think it's 75 years later, they want to redo that. And so our park committee had discussions with Centerpoint about the project that they have, that they want to do. And it was the opinion of, I think, the entire group that what they want to do is a little bit intrusive, too intrusive, on the Durham Island, and also just, you know, disruption of wildlife and everything. So we asked them to go back and present different options for us, and so we'll keep you posted on that. Another item I'd like to highlight, just because I was a little bit amazed at the stats that we are receiving from the use of our disc golf courses that we have. Savannah Dunes at Bunker Hills, 1,661 rounds by 455 players in 19 states. And that is very much shadowed by Riverfront 13, 15,326 rounds, 2,770 players, 42 states, and 8 countries. So I guess Chair of Parks, I had no idea that our disc golf in the county of Anoka was so popular. And last but not least, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the appreciation I have for staff in applying for grants from the Clean Water Fund to get an alum treatment down Centerville Lake, and that's going to be underway this summer. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair, except for to tell everyone that the Chamonix Golf Course is open in the great city of Lino Lakes, and it opened up yesterday. It's going to be in the 70s on Saturday and Sunday, so if you want to golf, you better call quick, because the tee times are filling up quick. And there, it completes my report.
Commissioner Schulte.
Mr. Chair, I think just for the record, I need to ask Commissioner Reinert, did your committee really meet on Saturday? You said you met on March 2nd.
No, we, April 2nd.
Oh, I thought you said March 2nd.
No,
The thing said.
the report says March 5th, which would have been the actual date of our prior committee
I
meeting.
thought you said March 2nd, so April 2nd. Very good. Thank you.
Was it Tuesday? Yeah, we're good.
We're dedicated.
I was impressed
Work around
for a
the
minute.
clock. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reiner. Then we move down to item number 8, a public hearing to obtain comments concerning a proposal to abate all or a portion of the property taxes levied by the county on properties located in the county. And I think we turn this right over to the county attorney.
Thank you, Chair Gamache. Commissioners, I will now open the public hearing portion of this meeting. The time is now 10:36 in the morning. I ask that the minutes reflect that the notice of this public hearing was published on March 22nd, 2024 in the Anoka County Union to inform the public that a hearing would occur during the regular meeting of the Anoka County Board of Commissioners on today's date, April 9, 2024, to allow public comment on the proposed property tax abatement in the city of Blaine as set forth in the published notice of public hearing, which is attached to today's agenda. I'll just read one of the paragraphs from that notice because it's relevant to anybody who wishes to address the board here today. It's the third main paragraph of the notice. It says, at the public hearing, the county board will consider an abatement resolution under which the county will pledge the county's share of property taxes from the property, which is described in the notice, for a maximum of up to 15 years to the payment of the city's tax abatement bonds to be issued to finance the costs of the project. The total amount of abatement is estimated not to exceed $5,300,000, representing the aggregate abatement dollars to be collected by the county over a maximum of 15 years. Before we receive public comments, the county is here and will introduce a municipal advisor from Ellers who will give the board an overview of the proposed abatement and redevelopment project. So Greg. Thanks.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'll turn it over to Shane with Ellers in a moment. This is a unique yet complicated opportunity. So there's kind of two main aspects of today. First is the public hearing as led by Attorney Johnson, and then also consideration of a non-binding term sheet. That term sheet will just serve as guidance for a more formal abatement agreement, which is currently scheduled to come back on April 23rd. So with that, I'll hand it off to Shane with Ellers.
Thank you, Greg, Mr. Chair, and Commissioners. So today I'll go through a brief version of the slide deck that you've seen a number of times before relative to the abatement for the turf fields, which are synthetic turf fields, conversions from actual grass at the National Sports Center in Blaine. So the city of Blaine approached the county with a request to abate certain taxes for the project. What they are 10 turf fields. They're owned by the Minnesota Amateur Sports Commission, or MASC, and they're managed by the National Sports Center Foundation, which is a nonprofit that's set up to do that work. The project costs $12 million in today's dollars, plus financing costs. And so while in a few slides you'll remember that the county is being asked to abate $5.3 million, those are gross dollars over time and not present valued. So the county, city, and schools abatement, or proposed abatement, equals a number much larger than the $12 million. The construction on the project would happen in 2024, this year. So again, the county's abatement would be $5.3 million, up to 15 years, also limited by an annual amount that would get stitched into the abatement agreement that if the county decides to move forward today, would then be considered on April 23rd, as Greg said. The Spring Lake Park School District will consider an abatement amount of about $5.4 million, and the city is at about $6.8, and the differential there has to do with the different tax rates by the different jurisdictions. The city would be the issuer of the abatement bonds. They'd be repaid by the abatements from the city, county, and school district. The properties that would be abated are the adjacent new development, which I will show in just a second, and then 3 other sites currently under construction, 2 apartments and a commercial site Some of that value has or will be created before this abatement would occur. So the master plan for the development shows not only the abated area, which I'll highlight on the next slide, but also some adjacent development east of the abated area, which are apartments that the city is working with the developer to build right now. But there's a summary of the development there. I think the first thing that would be constructed is the stadium, which is item 10 on the map. Again, this is zooming out a little bit to show in yellow where the turf fields would be converted from grass to synthetic turf. That shape there in the middle, I don't know how to describe that shape, but that's the abated area. We call that the on-site abatement. And then there's the 3 off-sites. Again, the area to the southeast or lower right of the map, that trapezoid shape, that's the off-site commercial, and then the Eris and Glenfield are off of this map. Those are the apartment buildings. Zooming in a little bit, there's that shape again, showing which part of the proposed, call it on-site development, would be abated. And the schedule for this, again, the county is here today on April 9. Tonight, the school district holds a similar hearing and considers their abatement. On the 15th, the city of Blaine would hold their abatement hearing and consider the abatement. Their abatement is a little bit different because they have to structure their parcels a little bit different because they would be on the hook if certain abatement revenues aren't produced during the 15-year time period. April 23rd, the county would come back and consider the abatement agreement, and then the schedule is to sell the bonds on May 6th. And again, that's by the city and not the county. And with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Shane. Any questions at this point in time? He's asking questions of us, correct?
Yeah, that's right. If the board has any questions of Shane, now's the time to ask them.
Oh, Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At our last time we discussed this at our board meeting, there was some confusion about we're already collecting some property taxes. I think it's Eris and Glenfield that is already incorporated in our levy. So there was a comment and question or misunderstanding that it's not just future taxes, but it would also already impact our current levy, that we would have to make up that difference. Is that accurate? What's the best way to put that into words, Shane? This is your expertise.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Brasted. Yes, so the off-site projects in particular, the Eris, the Glenfield, which is 2 buildings, technically 2 parcels, and the off-site commercial, which is a commercial building, that trapezoid shape on that map. There is value there today, and that is incorporated into your levy, and then in theory would be value that you would tax against this year as well. And that discussion of the amount of that value has been an ongoing discussion with Blaine as they're looking to structure the debt. So when the base year, if you look at the term sheet, there's a base year stitched into that table in the term sheet that would count the year that the base taxes start from when you calculate the abatement amount. So in simple terms, the answer is yes. There is some existing taxes that would be dedicated to this abatement, and so you would have to account for that in future levies. It is a very small fraction, of course, of your tax capacity in the county. You've got about $550 million in tax capacity, and this is, depending on if you account for only the off-site parcels, those Eris, Glenfield, and off-site commercial, or the projected tax capacity of the whole project, you're somewhere about 0.2% of the total county abatement. So it's a really small number, but it is there and it is measurable. That's a true statement. There is some value that would be abated that exists today. But the other part of it is it's a really small number.
And if I could, just as a follow-up, I know originally when we met, we talked about the possibility of the city going down the HRA path. And I guess I've never really heard an explanation as far as, like, where did that go wrong? Because I just want to clarify, I think the project and the plans are phenomenal. Personally, I'm way more comfortable with HRA option. I actually think it should be a state bonding issue. This is asking $12 million to go into land owned by the Amateur Sports Committee. It seems like it would be a perfect bonding request. That would be my first preference. Secondly would be HRA. So Karen, I see you get the HRA question.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Brasted, I always step up when I hear the word HRA. We worked very closely with the city staff. There were several workshops. I think we made our strongest pitch, and in the end, the city council just chose to make the decision not to participate in the HRA, but to instead continue pursuing the abatement as their first choice in how to get this project done.
Thank you.
You're handling this, right?
What options would be available and how could this be structured so it still works without using the two properties that are currently have the value that would have to be included?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Reinert, I think we would have to look and work with our financial teams, both Ehlers and Baker Tilly, who represents the city. There are always multiple ways to structure a deal. We've tried to come up with the most cost-efficient, paying the lowest amount of capitalized interest type of a deal we could. As we get to the point of having to look at the term sheet, we're requesting that you consider approving it. I do want to make it clear that the term sheet is a precursor to the abatement agreement. You don't have to approve the term sheet today. If you have questions, you want us to look at specific things, we will take a lot of notes and we will start working this afternoon with Blaine again and try to come up with some answers to your questions, and we will tackle this again on the 23rd when we formally bring you the abatement request.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Yeah, the reach back for a couple of years does concern me. If there are other options, and when I say if, there's always other options. If we could see what that looks like before a decision is made, I think that would be, I guess, a more thorough and comprehensive way of going about this and making sure that we are making the right decision, because at the end of the day, this county does not enter into abatement, ever or often, and certainly what we do will be setting precedent. So, entering into an abatement, that is on future evaluation, for me is comfortable. Reaching back is not as comfortable, and certainly if we're going to set precedent, that it'd be better not to include in that abatement a reach back. So if we could have other options to review, it'd certainly make me a lot more comfortable in moving forward.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I think the purpose of this item on the agenda is to actually have the public hearing. This is just a precursor to getting public comment to the board, so the board can further consider any public comments that might be here. There will also be ample opportunity at the time we get to on the agenda, which is the next item, to discuss the non-binding term sheet, and it is a non-binding term sheet. And so I think unless there are more questions directed just at Eller's presentation here, I'd ask permission to move forward with the public hearing.
I would say we're open.
Thank you. We'll now begin the live portion of the public comment section of this public hearing. The purpose of this part of the public hearing is to solicit comments and gather public opinions regarding the proposed property tax abatement. If I could have just Ms. Skepper just step back up to the lectern so I could inquire, did the county receive any written comments or messages submitted prior to this meeting?
County Attorney Johnson, we have not received any written or oral comments.
All right, thank you very much. We had a sign-up sheet that was available in case large members of the public came forward. My understanding is there were none that came forward. Is that accurate?
The last time I was out there, I saw no names on it.
Okay, so we don't have anybody that signed up on a sign-up sheet. I would just now ask and call out to the audience that's here, if there are members of the public who wish to provide comments, now is your opportunity. Is there anybody here from the public who would like to provide comments to the county board about the proposed property tax abatement in the city of Blaine as described in the notice of public hearing? Okay, I'm going to call it a couple more times. Are there any additional members of the public or any members of the public at all who would like to address the county board on this topic of the property tax abatement proposal in the city of Blaine? And calling for a final time, any members of the public who would like to address the county board on this topic of the proposed property tax abatement in the city of Blaine? Mr. Chair, having called 3 times, having no one step forward to make a public comment and hearing no public comments, I would now close the public hearing portion of the meeting and turn the meeting back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, County Attorney. So now we move to 8A, which is to consider approving a non-binding term sheet between Anoka County and the City of Blaine for an abatement request related to the National Sports Center Turf Field project. And Karen, when we're talking about a non-binding, and then as we looked at that schedule, we're looking at April 23rd board meeting for a final decision on the abatements. So maybe just to give us all an explanation of what we would be approving if we say we're going to go with a non-binding agreement today, or if we decide not to vote on the non-binding agreement today, what that would relate to.
Certainly. Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'm in the wrong meeting. We put together a term sheet because we really felt strongly we needed to have some time between the public hearing and actually asking you to approve our very first abatement agreement. The term sheet will pretty much mirror what would be in an abatement agreement. It lays out all of the key components. It builds in reimbursement for our professional fees for hiring Ellers and our staff time. It lays out a 15-year term, but I think we'll let Shane walk through the term sheet. I think if we choose not to consider the non-binding term sheet today, Blaine is here, they're hearing the conversation, they will be able to take this back to their board. We know that there's room to do some more additional work on this and get you additional alternatives. I think we'll be able to walk out of here, figure some things out, and come back on the 23rd. If you choose to approve the abatement term sheet, we will come back to you on the 23rd, walk through it again. Because the term sheet is non-binding, you'll have another opportunity to make some comments, but at that point, the time schedule is very short, so we'll need to either approve or deny. There won't be a lot of time to negotiate without upsetting the sale of the bond schedule. So this is the right time to be asking us questions. I'm going to have Shane walk through the term sheet, and if there are items that you're uncomfortable with or you think you need more information, please let us know so we know where to start as we're working with Blaine over the next few days.
Thank you. Welcome back, Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. All right, the term sheet is going to sound a lot like my presentation, but I'll try to hit on the differences between the presentation and the term sheet, or not differences, but the added detail, I should say, that's in the term sheet that is not in the presentation that you heard. But again, high level, 10 turf fields, $12 million in construction cost plus financing. The funding vehicle is tax abatement bonds issued by the city, pledged by the city, county, and school district. Section 5 of the term sheet gets into the details of that. The tax abatement from the county would be 100% of the increased taxes above the pre-development or abated values on certain parcels as detailed in a table there in the term sheet. Some other details, less fiscal disparities taxes and other items that affect the mechanics therein. The base value year in 5B, that's the look back that Commissioner Reinert mentioned a few moments ago. That is to grab value. Fundamentally, how that works is because the proposed development isn't for sure today, and the existing development, is for sure. Those are under construction items. It reduces the risk on the bonds to include that value in the abatement. And so that would be the discussion that we'd have with Blaine, would be, who is taking the risk if the new development doesn't occur. That's the conversation that, if you don't approve this term sheet, that we would then have with Blaine. The maximum amount of the county's abatement, using 0% interest, this is $5.3 million, and dollars doesn't matter what year it's in. It's not a present valued number. Up to 15 years, there's some mechanics on the dates. Again, the amount would be limited not only by the 15 years, but by the $5.3 million, and by an annual amount that would get stitched into the abatement agreement once we get the plan of finance finalized. The agreement would be contingent on the county doing an abatement and the city doing an abatement as well. So the county, even if it approved the agreement, on the 23rd and the whole deal wasn't done, the deal would fall apart if the city or the school didn't move forward with the project in a similar manner that you all are considering it. We talked about business subsidy at the prior meetings. This isn't one. The item 8 is the city shall disallow the new development to file a property tax valuation challenge. Of course, the offsite commercial Eris and Glenfield would be exempt from this. The reason for that is that the city is currently working on a development agreement with the new development, the adjacent, call it on-site development, and the abatement would be predicated on those values. So we wouldn't want them building a stadium and then all of a sudden coming in and saying, hey, the stadium isn't worth nearly what everybody thinks it was going to be worth. It could cause a problem with the bonds and the revenue therein. Again, it just reduces risk to have that provision in there. 9 is for the county's fees relative to the transaction. 10 is an insurance provision. We just want everybody to be insured. 11 is for the sale of the on-site properties. So if the developer sells the on-site developer sells the stadium, they have to be bound by the provisions that we just talked about. 12 is standard defaults. And then item 13 is that this is a non-binding term sheet, which term sheets typically are. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions in detail about the term sheet.
Thank you, Shane. Any questions for Shane? Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, okay, so I just want to, I guess, circle back to what is the question of the day today, which is who is taking the risk if it's not developed? Because if I'm remembering correctly, the way it was presented in the past was that the city of Blaine was ultimately 100%, I mean, yes, there's risk involved, but it would ultimately fall to the city of Blaine. But is what you're saying that it's a question mark? Is that what's happening with this document?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Commissioner Meisner, so the city of Blaine is ultimately taking all of the responsibility for the debt service payments on the bonds. They're backing it 100%. The more existing value that's included with the project, the less that risk is. Because there is value at the Eris, Glenfield, and offsite commercial today, it reduces Blaine's risk to have that value included. But that value is not nearly enough to pay the debt service on the bonds. So just pretend a scenario exists where nothing is built in that nice master plan that we talked about. And only the Aris, Glenfield, and offsite commercial are the value that's used to pay the debt. Blaine would have to take on quite a bit of extra obligation and to make those payments, and you all would only be pledging the abatement relative to the offsite stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna repeat that. So again, the city of Blaine is ultimately responsible regardless of what the future might hold in terms of development, not development. So I see what you're saying, that there's less risk for Blaine, but regardless, Blaine is still taking that responsibility, correct? I see the mayor nodding his head. I just want to make sure that, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Reiner?
Yeah, so in using that scenario that, this all goes into place and not one thing is built, and to your point, Commissioner Meisner, and I think this is what you were wondering, the county would still be forfeiting taxes of $100 and some thousand, if I'm, figuring that correctly.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Reiner.
And those dollars then would be used to help pay back the bond.
Yes, generally true. However, the city in that scenario would have to dedicate lots of other funds to pay the debt service on those bonds, because if none of that development happens, there's no value there from you or the school district or the city. They still have to pay the debt no matter what. But there would be some coming from the school, county, and city relative to the offsite.
Right, so it's not correct to say that if nothing is built, that the city of Blaine then pays back the bond 100%.
That's correct.
Commissioner Jepson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify a couple things regarding a comment that was made earlier. This is all very involved, and I appreciate your patience with us in explaining some things. But one point of clarification is the couple-year look-back in property taxes. I just want to confirm that it's not a couple years, it's this year look-back, which a couple of these properties currently are under construction. And so it's not 100% of their property value, it's less than 50% of their property value.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Jepson, we would have to do the math on that. I think it's between the two bookends that you stated. There are base years in the table in the term sheet that go back a couple of years to capture the increase in value on those projects. For values for 2024, pay 2025, the apartment projects are at full value now. And so there is some look back, some capture of that increased value. If you abated those values starting with the valuation in January of 2024, there would be no delta above, and so there would be no abatement to capture except for potential inflation and increase in values over the years, which we don't account for in our runs to be conservative.
And if I could follow up, so the three parcels, so I understand the need to go back to the drawing board and talk about some other properties and stuff, but I fully trust county staff and city staff that you have looked at every scenario from every aspect, and these three specific parcels are kind of in that sweet spot, right? They may not have their full value, but they're gonna get to their full value. I mean, it's just this perfect window of these three parcels filling this unique gap for all of these things coming together. So as I respect Commissioner Reinert's suggestion to go back to the drawing board and focus on properties that we don't have to look back on, but we do have to look forward on values that actually have value so that we can pay these bonds back. And so these three very unique parcels are in that sweet spot.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, yes, that's true, because the value just came on for
Yes.
those in
Yes.
January of '24
Thank you.
for pay 25. And so it depends how many years you go back. And what we've done in the term sheet, as I had mentioned, is go back to the pre-development state on those parcels. Now, in theory, you can structure the debt and pick the base year whenever you want to pick it. But again, it moves the needle on the risk of the development value for the new development, shifts it from the county to the city the further forward in time that you move that date. Now, initially, the value for the proposed development was estimated to be quite high, but we all know that development is unknown. We don't know, it's a really nice plan, and I think everybody really likes the plan, but there's no certainty that, what will happen when. I know that stadium is on tap, and Blaine can speak about the prospect of that happening soon. I think everybody thinks it's gonna happen soon, but no development deal is done until it's done, so.
Commissioner Meisner, you look like you wanted to raise your hand.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, we have really talked in depth about this over the last couple of months, so thank you. I had a lot of questions throughout the process. Obviously, I'm still having questions, but I guess I'll just state at this point, given what Karen was saying with the timing, I personally don't see a need to put a hold on this, particularly because it's non-binding. In terms of this project and our part in it, we're essentially one small part that's unlocking the rest of it. So to me, that's very exciting. Again, we have not had this opportunity since the National Sports Center, since TPC Golf, right? So for me, this is exciting. This is an opportunity. Is there risk involved? Yes, of course. Sounds like primarily the city of Blaine is taking that on. So again, because this is non-binding, I think that it would be more detrimental personally to not support this. And given that very short then window of time on the 23rd, but that's my opinion.
Commissioner Reinert and then Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, so there are parts of this development that are not included in the abatement, correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Reinert, just for clarity, are you talking about the apartments off to the east, to the
Well,
right?
the entire vision of what this development is going to be.
Yes, and I don't know if it's possible to bring the slide deck back up, but yeah, so that red odd shape only captures some of the proposed development. And
Here, we're going back.
There you go.
yeah, like one. So I don't know if you could see the cursor or not. Yeah, okay. So this shape would be the parcels, which we call the on-site abatement, stadium, hotels, sports and amusement, and restaurants there. And there are apartment projects, 3, 4, 5, and 6 there that are outside of the abatement area. So is that what you're asking, Commissioner
Yeah,
Leonard?
right, because, abatement is similar to, but not exactly like TIF. Tax increment financing, where basically the governing entity that is allowing the abatement or TIF, continues to collect on the value of the land prior to development, and then when the development happens, the dollars that are collected from that increased valuation then is used as an incentive for development. And, usually he has to pass a but-for test, if but for the TIF or the abatement, the project can't happen, so it inspires development. What we're doing here, though, is we're reaching back a couple of years, which is uncomfortable, as I stated. I am not against abatement, and I'm not against TIF, but I like it. I've always been comfortable using it in the way that, the governing entity does not lose dollars for approving it and allowing the development to happen. And so in this case, there is a touch of that happening. And so the reason why I'm asking about whether or not there is other development that is outside of the proposed abatement area is that, possibly, we can, reshuffle the deck here a little bit, and so that we don't have to do that. And that's what I'm looking for is, I guess, some way to not have to do a reach back. And I'm hoping that there is an option for that. As to the approving of this schedule here today, I understand that anything can be changed in this because it is not binding, correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Reiner, true, the term sheet is not binding. However, we would take that term sheet and craft an agreement for your consideration on the 23rd. And so, true, the term sheet isn't binding, but it's kind of, we're using it as a step to make sure that the board is okay with those terms so that we can stitch an agreement together and put it before you on the 23rd so that the bonds can be sold on May 6th.
Then I guess I would recommend, because I've asked for, and it seems like staff is okay with, looking at various options of how we can accomplish an abatement, putting an abatement in place without a reach back, that I wouldn't feel comfortable, I guess, voting for this today. And I apologize for the late hour of coming to this conclusion, but I just don't feel comfortable with the reach back. And if there is another way to do it, then we should do it that way. Because I think that as far as setting precedent for the county and comfort level with residents and tax dollars, I think that would be a better conclusion. If we can get there, and I don't know if we can, hopefully we can.
Okay. Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is not my intent to rehash or relitigate my comments from the last conversation. However, I will just state that that this non-binding term sheet is an indication of how we would support or not support this as it comes forward on April 23rd. And my biggest concern is that this is a state asset, these turf fields, and that the state had $18.7 billion to decide what to do with. And if you take $12 million, that's 1,555 chances to invest in these turf fields that they chose not to. There's 87 counties in Minnesota, and they want one county to invest in their turf fields. They want our taxpayers to pay for those fields. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I think this is a great project. I think the whole idea of investing in Blaine and investing in that particular area is a fabulous idea. I think this is the wrong, I don't want to use the word shell game, but I think this is the wrong way to do it. I think there's a better way to finance this. So I continue to not support this particular way of funding this project.
Commissioner Meisner, then Commissioner Brasted.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, I've got a comment for Commissioner Schulte, because you guys have been consistent about that in terms of mask and so forth. And in theory, I absolutely understand your point in terms of who should be technically funding this. However, my disagreement comes in terms of this is, again, just an opportunity and it's time sensitive. This is why we're being asked to be a partner in that. So in terms of, again, the vision and the longer term goal, that for sure is outweighs, the details that you're talking about. So I'm in disagreement about that. But I'm a little confused, Commissioner Reiner, about this whole reach back thing, because the way that Commissioner Jepsen described it and our previous discussions, I just don't understand how that is. I don't want to say any point. I'm sure that there's some metric where it's a minuscule, detail, but it seems overall that it's a moot point in regards to moving this project forward. So I'm a little confused about why you keep going to this whole reach back thing, and your goal is to just not have a reach back at all, or is your goal not to have any risk? I don't actually understand what you're wanting.
We'll get Commissioner Reiner to respond to that
Sure.
after Commissioner Brasted's question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this might help. Shane, if you can tell us, and I've looked it up, but I don't want to put out I don't have it in front of me, but the dollars attached to the off-site areas, taxable 24, payable 25, what is that dollar amount that as a county board, we already have those revenues accounted for in our levy? What, do you know offhand what that what is the paid 25 on those off-site properties? For some reason, I'm thinking one was $178,000, and then another one was maybe 89,000. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's substantial. So Commissioner Meisner, that's what Commissioner Reinert is talking about. That, well, not putting, words in your mouth, but we've already accounted for those dollars. We've talked about how to spend those dollars. So we're automatically going backwards and we have a gap.
I don't know if we have that information.
Sure. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Brasted and Meisner. So the projected values at full build-out for the off-site commercial, the trapezoid, if you will, the Glenfield and the Aris, are about $57.6 million in market value. So that's market value, not taxes and not tax capacity. The market value, which again is impacted by tax capacity, but I'll speak in market value, needed to service the debt if everybody's in at the same amount in years and things like that, is about 119 million or so. That number is impacted a little bit by class rate, so which parcel and which project uses. But anyway, so that's rough numbers. So you can do a ratio there that roughly half of the debt service is from the offsite. But to Commissioner Brasted and Commissioner Meinert's comment, and it's one thing that I highlighted a little bit ago, the amount of tax capacity or market value compared to the overall county that we're talking about here is very small.
0.02%.
It's again, it depends on how you calculate it, but it's about 0.2% of the tax capacity in the county for the offsite, a little bit more than that when you double it up to the projected value that's needed to service the debt. The other thing that I will say is, again, the values for the new development on a per square foot or per hotel room basis that we are using are definitely on the low end of value, right? So we're assuming a very low value for the hotel. But again, we want to be conservative because we don't know if the hotel is going to happen, right? So it's $119 or $120 million in market value that's needed to pay off the debt if everybody's in at their normal tax rate using today's current tax rates. We know tax rates are going to change. We know valuations are going to change. We know the class rates change sometimes. Things like that happen, but that's the real rough version of the debt. And I should say that, Michaela from Baker Tilly is here. Again, Blaine would be selling this debt. We are your advisor, so we're doing math to kind of validate that, but they're the ones that are really selling the debt. So I don't want to get too far down the debt road, and Michaela could step in and talk about that if we get to that point.
Okay. Commissioner Jepson, you had a question.
Well, a couple questions, a couple statements. Are there any properties other than these three that can be used in this abatement process that don't require a reach back?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Commissioner Jepson, just to clarify your question, make sure I have it. Your question is, how would we go back a little bit and only grab value that isn't there today? Is that the question?
Well, to Commissioner Reinert's concern, and, pause in this decision, He wants staff, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Reinhardt, that he wants staff to go back to look at different scenarios in which there wouldn't be a reach back. And I'm wondering, are there scenarios that you have looked at already that you will look at if this does not pass that don't require a reach back?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Jepson, so that I think thinking about it from a market value perspective, that you need about 120 million in market value roughly to service the debt. The offsite is about half of that, and the projected onsite is about another half of that. Super rough numbers, right? So if you don't look back in some way, right, because again, we're talking about values on the offsite that exist on January of 2024 for pay 2025 for budgets, you guys know how that all works out. So if you don't look back at all, you're only going to be able to service about half the debt. And if the county board decides to only do the prospective development, the stuff that hasn't happened yet, Blaine will have to decide if they want to fill that gap. Now, there are, of course, anywhere in between those two. You could say you only want to look back, just call it half, pick the year that would pick the halfway point so that you would dedicate, only a little bit of the value that existed on January 1, 2024. So there's 100 different ways you could do it, but if the county doesn't want any risk for the project and doesn't want to look back at all, to Commissioner Reinert's point, then the risk is truly all on the development and Blaine if the new development that's shown on this box doesn't happen. So we would completely take out the offsite commercial in that end of the spectrum. Only the 60 million or more in market value that would be created in the red shape here would be dedicated to the abatement. And then you would be able to say 100%, it's all only new development and new value that would be coming on the tax rolls that would service the debt. That pushes all the risk to Blaine if they want to move forward with the project, or they can decide that that's too much risk and they don't want to do it.
And I think that's why they had originally, correct me if I'm wrong, had come to the county, had come to the school board to say, help us in this endeavor, not only with this dollar amount, but in a trifecta partnership to get this amenity to our county, to our city. So this is not just, we have to be risk averse, we have to, we need to support the projects that are coming into the city in the best way possible, in the most advantageous way possible for all the parties, even if it puts us at a little bit of risk, which I believe that this does. I wanted to comment on Commissioner Schulte's comments regarding the state. Yes, it's incredibly frustrating. It's infuriating at times to invest in something that is state-owned. But if you know how the state works and how many times the NSC has gone to the state and asked for funding, they are continually turned down, constantly turned down. And so in order to compete in this market, in this amateur sport, even professional sport environment, industry, the turf fields have to exist. If this park, if this center goes away, it's going to be detrimental to the county. It really will, because this is a revenue generator for this region. And so if we as the city, when I was on the city council, didn't do those initial turf fields, we did it in this exact same way with the land lease option, and it was a great partnership. And this is a great partnership because if we don't do the turf fields, none of the other stuff gets done. None of it. And all that stuff in the red most of the stuff in the red is owned by the state too. So that's not gonna happen. The state's not gonna be able to do anything with that parcel because it's gonna take this unique project to get us there. And finally, yes, $98,000, $150,000, those are large dollar amounts. Substantial to me is $400 million. And that, like you mentioned, is a very, very, very conservative number on the value of this entire project. I mean, I've heard 400 million, 600 million, we could throw dollar signs out in the environment and see what sticks. But when you consider, very conservative, very confident, a $400 million project to $98,000 on a tax abated property, that's substantial.
Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's clear that there's some more discussion that needs to be happening here, I think. I guess I would propose that we've got a Finance Committee meeting next Tuesday. We could look at some of the other options. That gives staff a week to come to us with addressing some of our concerns, and then still gives us a week before the 23rd to have this back on the agenda. So I would make a motion to, is that to table or postpone, County Attorney Johnson? To
Commissioners, it would be a motion to postpone.
I would make that motion, and I would like staff to put this on our next week's Finance Committee meeting where we can continue this discussion. I think there's more discussion to be had.
Okay.
What's that?
Were you going to second that?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just making
you
sure.
gonna?
No, I was just making sure I heard that right. I heard something out of my ear and I was making sure. So we have a motion to postpone and a second a motion by Commissioner Brassad, second by Commissioner Reinert. It's a motion to postpone the vote on the non-binding term sheet and then also to move it to our Finance Committee next week. Commissioner Reinert.
Yeah, so just to be clear, I am not opposed to voting for an abatement. I don't know that everybody is on board with an abatement up here, but my understanding of what this would be for voting on this today would be that the action of staff would be then to create something that would include these numbers for action on the 23rd. Not voting for today then causes staff to then come up with alternative options that might be available. And I think that that's what's the better conclusion here right now is to examine to see if there's another way to go here. I would like to have a clean abatement. And I want to give it a little more time to see if we can get there. As far as the $400 million valuation, we are talking about, I thought you said like 119 million, correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and Commissioner Reinert. So, yeah, 120 million in market value roughly is what's needed to service the debt. The existing off-site parcels would be about 57 million when they're built. The trapezoid is still has some value that's going to be coming on in the future. I think the difference is always in the construction number is always a lot higher than the county value number, of course, right? And the other thing I think that's relevant to say is that while 119 or 120 million in market value is needed to service the debt, again, we've picked very low value. So if all that development happens, there will be more value there in theory. I'm not the county assessor, and I won't speak for them, but there would, in theory, be more value there. The hotel rooms would probably be valued a little bit higher than we have them and all of that, but it's about 120 million and about half of that is the offsite. That's the super rough math today.
Yeah, and I understand we're working in the realm of very conservative numbers right now, very conservative valuations, because that's the way you want to do it so that you don't overinflate, get yourself in trouble, I guess, by saying it was one thing, overpromise, underdeliver, and with in government entities, you just cannot do that. It could possibly be up to $400 million in valuation someday, and most likely would with the development coming to fruition. But on the front end, you have to be very conservative. Unfortunate for the numbers that we're working with on and trying to get to an abatement number. So, but I just want to be clear. I am not opposed to voting for an abatement, and but I desire a clean abatement. So.
Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a process question. So now we're taking away this blueprint, which is the term sheet. So then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at an actual abatement agreement on the 23rd. That was.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if you choose to postpone today, we will start working with Blaine and their financial experts and ours. We will try to look at alternatives. We will come back to you at the Finance Committee. We'll talk about alternatives. You'll never be asked to vote on the term sheet, but when we come back on the 23rd, we will bring you an abatement agreement that incorporates all of the things that we have discussed between now and Finance Committee. So at Finance Committee, we'd be looking for some real answers on how you want to proceed. I think by postponing, we're sending Blaine a message that we want to get this done. We want to do it in a way where we've turned every stone and done everything we can to protect the taxpayers, but we're still moving forward.
Commissioner Jepson.
So even though this is a postponement on something that's non-binding, this is a very huge decision. And to Commissioner Reinert, if staff it leaves every stone unturned, if they've come up with every scenario and this is still the terms, you're still not going to be okay with it. And if, knowing that they've done as much behind the scenes work, figured out as the best opportunity possible, if they still come back to us and say this is it, it's still not clean enough for you.
Next week at the Finance Committee meeting, we'll be discussing all of that.
Okay.
Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Karen and Shane, when you come to finance next week, one thing that still rubs me the wrong way is we've never used our tax abatement policy at the county level, ever, ever, ever. And this proposal is not within our parameters. If we're going to do it once, I mean, it's going to be precedent setting, but then to do it once and not stay within our own rules and our own policy, if there's a chance that we could do that, find a way to make it meet our policy, I think would be a little bit more comfortable too. And because like I say, we're setting ourselves up for other things down the road.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Brasted, we have wrestled with this. Our abatement policy goes back to 1999. We've modified our business subsidy policy, but this is not a business subsidy. This is a very, very, very unique project because it involves the National Sports Center. And as we went through and ruled out that it was not a business subsidy and looked only at the abatement policy, the one key thing that we needed to move on to make the deal work was to extend our length of an abatement from 10 years to 15 years. We can put that right back on the table, look at numbers again, but that's the only piece that we're modifying to make this deal work. I do believe Greg and I are committed to revamping our entire business subsidy and abatement policies. It didn't feel appropriate to redo them now for this project because of the uniqueness. But it's right on my whiteboard that this is the next project that we'll be looking at, is updating the full policies so we are prepared for other cities to come forward with abatement requests.
I've got Commissioner Meisner, then Reinert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Karen, because I was literally just going to pretty much say the same thing in discussion about this project. You nailed all of it in terms of, and it's not an either-or thing. I'm absolutely open to what you're suggesting, Commissioner Brasted, in terms of looking at our policy and doing an overhaul. I think that's fine, but not to keep up this project, and it went through all of the measures. So we did essentially the exception to the rule, which was changing the 10-year to the 15-year, and all of the policy is in place. It's intact. We're actually not going, quote unquote, against policy, as you kind of referred to. Again, that being said, if you want to look at the full policy, great, I'm open to doing that, but it doesn't need to hinder this project. Thank you.
Commissioner Reinert.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not as stuck on sticking with current policy. We've talked about going to 15 years. I'm comfortable with that. It was put in place 25 years ago, and then never used. And so, I'm not as conscious of, you know, keeping it in place like that. I just want it to be a clean abatement if we can get there, so.
Okay, so I'm guessing that the county attorney's probably wondering why I'm allowing all this discussion on a motion to postpone. I probably should have not allowed that.
No, I think that the chair has wide prerogative to allow this discussion because it all goes to whether or not you should postpone. I would just say that for a motion to postpone to carry, it needs an affirmative vote, so it needs a majority.
Yep.
So that's the lay of the land that you all have in front of you right now.
All right, so we have a motion, and it has been seconded to postpone, and then bring this to our April 16th Finance Committee meeting. Is that the 16th?
Yes, yes.
Finance Committee at 1 p.m. And that was the motion by Commissioner Brasted and seconded by Commissioner Reinert. Does that need to be a roll call? Does not?
I think it might be
Might
helpful
be
if you
easier?
did that on this one.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. All right, so the motion has been made and it has been seconded. Any, we're done with discussion. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
No.
And it passes 5-1. So the city is here. We've got the mayor and we've got their economic development director as well. I wondered if they have any other questions that they would like to have with us. Otherwise, our staff is ready to work with you on answering some of the questions. You've heard the debate up here as to what we're talking about. And so we'll leave it at that. Okay. And thank you, Shane, for the long discussion today. Thank you, Karen, for all your help. And we'll move on. Item number 9 is to consider approving the employment agreement with Thomas Hunt and appointing Tom as the Director, Elections, Property Records, and Taxation effective April 9th, 2024.
So moved.
Well, we got a motion and a second by Commissioner Jepson and Commissioner Brasted. Is anybody coming up to, say anything, or we're just going to go with the vote?
Go with the, let's just go with the vote.
Okay. All right.
We like you, Tom.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd just like to make a quick comment in that elections obviously have been tumultuous for the last couple of years, and Tom has led us through that valiantly. He's done a really good job controlling the situation and doing it in a way that's really, really shown integrity for Anoka County. And it's been very challenging from my perspective. But I don't know that it's been challenging for him. He's shown such grace in the line of fire, and I really respect that. I'm proud of him, and look forward to his continued work for Anoka County. Thank you, Tom, and congratulations on your new position. At least I assume this vote is going to go that way.
Yeah, we're going to vote on it. Huh? Yeah, I agree. So let's get the vote out of the way. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Congratulations, Tom, and we're glad you're here. Anybody else want to comment? Okay. Committee appointments. Item A was consider reappointing Dwight McCullough to the Coon Creek Watershed District Board of Managers for a 3-year term ending May 27th, 2027. Do we have a motion? Thank you, Commissioner Brasted.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jepson. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it's approved, and I believe this, although Commissioner Jepson, did you have something you want to talk about the library?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was ready to get out of here. No, I just wanted to announce that today is National Library Worker Day. And I just wanted to give appreciation for all of our library workers, including our librarians, and the many hats that they wear, not only just in working with our community and their literacy needs, but also all the different activities that the libraries have to offer nowadays. So just if you go to the library today, anytime this week, thank your local library worker.
Thank you, and if there's nothing else to come before the county board?
Mr. Chair?
Oh, county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I would just like to publicly thank Officer Brian Plotz from the Coon Rapids Police Department, who came into our office, the Anoka County Attorney's Office, and did some training on AEDs and cardiac arrest. He did that in this very boardroom here. For those who might not have seen it on Fox 9 News, about 5 days ago, there was a little piece on that. It's a good piece to watch. If there are organizations or businesses or groups in Anoka County that would like to get heart-safe training, they can reach out to Brian Plotz at the Coon Rapids Police Department, and either he or another person from HeartSafe can come out and train. It was really touching to have them here too, because our office got to meet Tim Hoffman, who was saved by an AED, and by Brian Plotz and other people who stepped forward to render immediate aid. And I think that's the big takeaway. I also want to personally thank Fox 9 News and Tim Blotz, who is kind of a friend to Anoka County and has come out for our 9/11 celebrations and remembrances, and also keeps an eye on things up here and is always doing positive stories on Anoka County, which we certainly appreciate. So thank you.
That was great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for the update. If there's nothing else to come before the board, we are adjourned.